Sasi Kumar.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to LLB Lead or Led By. And today we have a special masterclass by Professor Khabali, whose introduction Dr. Ram is going to present. But let me just briefly tell you that what is Lead or Led By. Lead or Led By is an initiative by EduFam International. EduFam International is an academy that provides training to all sections of the society, starting from the students of the school to the college students and to the professionals, teachers, and even the housewives or homemakers are included in the training programs. EduFam believes that each and every human being has capacity of leading a successful life. It's only depends that how soon or how quickly they acknowledge their own talents and they recognize themselves and they discover themselves. So EduFam International helps them to rediscover themselves and to unleash their potentials, whatever is hidden in them. And LLB Lead or Led By is an initiative by EduFam, and in this is the 8th batch of LLB. And in this 8th batch, where basically we have enrolled all the professionals, basically the teachers from the schools. And every Sunday we have the master classes for them. And this is today is Sunday, and we have the master class. And this master class is special because we have invited a guest to speak about strategic leadership. In this course, we have covered so far goal setting, and then we have covered discovering oneself, self-esteem, self-confidence. And then after that, we have spoken about the types of leadership, the essentials of leadership, the values of leadership. And then in the third week, we have taken up the topic like self-management. And in that, we have covered time management, stress management, talent management, and crisis management. And the last week is going to be the communication, where we are going to speak different types of communication that is essential for the leaders. Whether you are leading your personal life or you are leading the team, it is essential for you. So this is a brief introduction of EduFam. And I am fortunate that we have many people with us in this journey of leadership. We have Dr. Ram with us. He has joined us, who has joined us from Singapore, and he's the managing director of ACE International. Then we have Dr. Zia Punekar from United Arab Emirates. Then we have many other people from different walks of life, from different parts of the countries. Those who are with us, but they are unable to join this meeting. And I welcome each one of you, all the participants, all the guests, and all the well-wishers and all the mentors of this course. I welcome you all to this program. Thank you very much. And now I request Dr. B. Ramanathan to kindly present the introduction of our guest of this evening, Professor Khabali. Dr. Ram, over to you.
Can you hear me?
May I request all of you to kindly switch yourself, please. Are you not able to share?
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It is my great pleasure and honor as well as privilege to join together for this masterclass, Leader Led By. I have to thank Dr. Halima Sadia for taking all the efforts and making all the coordination to bring the eminent people who can able to guide and coach the participants for 1 month intensive coach. And I would like to extend my warm welcome as well as thanks to Dr. Khabali P. Subramanian, who is the head faculty of business studies, general course chair for the MBA program offered from Arab Open University, Muscat, Oman. He is very much interested when we are having any kind of programs or events. He is very enthusiastically participating and coming to support in all sorts of way. And he would extend his generous presentation for this particular thing, strategic leadership. Actually, we were gone through with the one course. I was very much attracted and fascinated the blue ocean strategy. It's a time we have to find the opportunity where we can able to lift up our better understanding about the strategy. Without strategy, we cannot plan anything nicely, and it is the time for us. How do we learn certain way of the tactics or tools or the focus when we are approaching with the strategies? It's for personal development, professional development, business development, leadership qualities as well. So today he is choosing to provide the talk on strategic leadership. Before asking him to come and take over the desk, I would like to introduce Dr. Kabali P. Subramanian, who is the business researcher. He is having a lot of experience in research and teaching, which is very much interested for business strategy, business innovation, and digital leadership and transformation of businesses into the next level. He's also editor, editorial board member in various kind of academic journals. That is also good academic credit he has endorsed for his particular skills in publications. He has published a lot of research papers in indexed and reviewed journals, co-edited and published a book, Co-Creating the Post-COVID-19 World, Exploring Sustainable Paths in 2021. Uh, he has published a few books, chapters, and he is also adjudicated with Annamala University PhD thesis and Christ University as well. Founder International Theory Building Research Forum. Research collaborators across the world includes India, Oman, Canada, US, UK, Yemen, Egypt, Lebanon, Sri Lanka, among other countries. Current research projects, he holds principal investigator in a research project by leading a team of researchers. The topic digital transformation of higher learning educational institutions funded by the Research Council of Oman. Co-investigator in a research project investigating developing a strategic model to promote the production and export of value-added products in seafood industry in Sultanate of Oman. Corporate advisor, he is also acting as a corporate advisor for many companies in UAE-based startup. Especially they have raised the fund US dollar 200,000 at dollar 1 million valuation. Strategic advisor to an award-winning millet startup ecosystem building company, promoting number of startups in Asia through advising and mentoring, mentor for and founders for institute, mentor Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council India, global convener and mentor for Native Lead Foundation, startup ecosystem facilitator. He is also startup investor, Native Angels Network in India, Inflection Point Ventures, and other few startups in Gulf and Southeast Asia markets. He's a corporate trainer. He's the founder of Arkansas Consulting, a boutique strategy, innovation, and digital business leadership and consulting firm. Trained more than 1,000 business leaders, entrepreneurs, and executives in strategy, innovation, and digital business leadership. He's also a corporate consultant for many companies to provide the digital transformation strategy, innovation, and enterprise strategies as well. He's a continuous learner. He has attended FDP, MD, and MDP in IIM and IIMK, IIMB, TAPME, and Oxford University. Recently, in 2020, he has graduated from Columbia Business School, US, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology, US, in their jointly offered PG program in digital business. Presently pursuing a program on public policy offered by Indian School of Business in India. He is associated with the different professional associations, also in global professional ranking, visited several countries like Oman, UAE, US, UK, Lebanon, Kuwait, Malaysia, Georgia. He presented his papers and findings in conferences as well as other conclaves. Community influencer, he is also supporting a lot for especially community service in education and enterprise building. He has been invited as a resource person by a number of forums, conferences, both offline and online manner. He has received several awards and recognitions. Best Employee Award from Ministry of Manpower Sultanate of Oman, awarded Best Professor in Management Studies as a part of Oman Innovation, recognized by Arab Open University Presidentship for dedication and outstanding role played in accomplishing Open University UK validation in 2020. All these accolades as well as rewards and awards, we are very happy to have Dr. Abali Subramanian with us today. I would like to warmly welcome behalf of the participants here. Uh, it is the time for us to listen to his talk on strategic leadership. I welcome, sir. Stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ram, Dr. Halima. Wonderful, very interesting, very detailed introduction. I didn't expect that. I thought that you'll introduce me, but anyway, thank you for your kindness. First of all, I would like to appreciate, congratulate the team behind this series, Lead or Led By. That itself is very inspiring. The theme of the series of talk. I came to know through Dr. Ram and Dr. Halima that it's a series of talk about leadership on various dimensions of leadership, various perspectives on leadership by different experts who throw light on different dimensions. And very interestingly, the theme, lead with pride to ensure influence and change. Very thought-provokingly or thoughtfully coined words. Influencing and change. Influence and change. These are two very important concepts which we understand we can become better leaders. And also during the introduction, Dr. Halima used very interesting ideas like unleashing your potential, discovering and unlocking the hidden talent. Fantastic. You are setting the theme. And today I'm going to add another dimension. See, leadership is a phenomena which is being researched, being discussed over many centuries. And leadership in different domains, political leadership, we have business leadership, we have institutional leaders, and so on and so forth. So leadership is one phenomena which is very dynamic, very complex. Even today, as Dr. Halima mentioned during her discussion, some of the sessions discussed about types of leadership. Even today, across the world, lot of research going on in understanding this phenomenon. After years of thinking of and talking about leadership, still we are trying to grapple with what do you mean by leadership? Who is a leader? Here I would like to mention there are a lot of experts on leadership. One among them is Robin Sharma. He wrote a book called Lead Without Title. So what is leadership? Is it a position? Is it your performance? Is it a process? Right? So there are a lot of questions about leadership. When we were discussing, myself, Dr. Ramanathan and Dr. Halima, about this today's topic about leadership, I said, I'm going to approach leadership from strategy perspective. So strategic leadership, that is my area of interest. Because I strongly believe, based on my research, every leader should be a strategist. This is my understanding. So therefore, what I thought is, let me bring that dimension into it. So when I said strategic leadership, when you received this invitation, because when I asked Dr. Halima who are the participants, she said mostly academics, parents, and others. So I know that I'm speaking to some of the learned people in this forum. So you have wonderful thoughts on leadership. I always believe the collective understanding of all of you on leadership is much more than the speaker. Right. So therefore, I would like to start. I asked also Dr. Halima, what is the format? She said 30 minutes of presentation followed by 15 minutes of question and answer. Very well. I have come with some simple presentation. I don't want to make it very complex, very simple presentation. So to set the context, I want to know either through your chat box, or you can open your microphone if it is allowed. You can speak about when you receive this invitation saying we are going to discuss strategic leadership. What came to your mind? One or two thoughts, so that it can set the context. Anyone would like to volunteer?
Good evening, sir.
Namaste, sir.
Yeah, namaste. Welcome. Thank you for volunteering.
The thought that came into my mind is long-term leadership. So strategy always relates to long-term. That's why.
Fantastic, fantastic. Great thought, great thought. That's one of the points we are going to discuss. Great. Any other thought?
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Sir, knowing about strategic leadership, the first thought that came into my mind was, what is the primary role of a leader as a chief strategist?
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay. What is the primary role of a leader as a chief strategist? Great. So somebody says leaders are, where is it?
Leaders create more future leaders.
More future leaders. Okay. Creating more future leaders. Fantastic. Any other thoughts?
Akash has said presence of mind.
Presence of mind, very important, very important. Okay. So as I said, leadership can be approached through different lenses. I'm trying to approach through strategy lens. So let me also ask you, when you think about, of course, one of our friends rightly mentioned, it's all about long-term. Strategy is long-term. So strategic leadership should be always about, future and long-term. Yes, true. Apart from that, any other idea crosses your mind when you hear the word strategy?
1 second, the students or participants, please open your video so you can able to read.
Giving credit to team. Vinit Kumar says giving credit to team.
If you are comfortable, you can come on video.
Switch on your videos, everybody.
Yeah. And that will be always, better, so that we can see each other. Yes.
No hide and seek.
Fantastic.
What I think is that strategy leadership is like it is deep rooted. It is not that superficially we are trying to find out a solution temporarily, but we want to have like one foolproof procedure, or maybe method, or maybe policy or something. Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Halima, for setting the stage. So let me share my presentation so that I can, just take you through the. I have prepared a very simple presentation. As we know, leadership is a very complex phenomena, but still I try to make it simple. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So this is the first question I asked. Now, what key questions you are grappling with as a leader? So if you are as a leader, like you may lead an educational institution, you may lead a business. What kind of questions every day when you wake up in the morning, what kind of question crosses your mind? Or what key questions you grapple with as a leader? Quickly, what are the questions which crosses your mind, or what are the issues you are going to face as a leader from your experience, either personal experience or from the people you might have seen or you worked with, right? Leader creates more. Okay.
Change.
So what are the key questions?
The change that we get in all aspects.
Fantastic. Okay.
It could be
you
from
are
business,
responsible for change. Fantastic. So as a leader, you are responsible for change. Why we need to change?
Otherwise, you will be left behind.
Why you will be left behind? Maybe know the reasons. If you are not going to change for the next 10 years, you say that we'll be left behind. Why we are left? What do you mean by left behind? which will move forward and which what you will do?
People who embrace change will definitely move forward. And people who are
100%. 100%. Now, my
resisting to
question is,
change.
my question is, you say that, you know, if you're not going to change, you'll be left, right? You said, what is the word? You said you'll be left behind, right?
Left
Who
behind.
will go forward? Who will go forward, and why you will be backward?
It is a natural phenomena, I think. It is a natural phenomena because the man is inquisitive. So naturally, the nature will change, the things will move.
Right. And fantastic. Great, great. Or you put it simple, world is changing.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. So if we are not going to adapt to the change, or we are going to set the change. So there are two things. If you want to survive and grow, only two things. Either you adapt to the change or you set the change. Like, for example, when you talk about Elon Musk, he has set a change in certain industry, like, for example, electric car industry. Steve Jobs, he has made a change. You know, he changed the world. How how you engage with the world in terms of by bringing in some smart gadgets, right from iPod to iPhone. No, he has changed the world. How we work, how we live. At the end of the day, leadership is all about making this world a better place. Either you do it in your institution, like what Dr. Halima is doing, or you do it for your business, how Dr. Ram is doing, or you do it for your country, like how the prime ministers and presidents are doing. At the end of the day, it's all about making this world a better place. So either you adapt to the world, because as the world is changing, you move forward, adapt it, otherwise you'll be left behind, or you set the change. You make the world move forward. These are the two options to you as a leader, right? So we're very, very well said. You said change is one very important thing, question which lingers in the minds of the business leaders always. How, to initiate change within the organization. Sometimes you initiate change, sometimes the environment initiates change. For example, during COVID, right? We know how organizations and institutions across the world, which includes the countries, how they were forced to change, right? Because I'm a researcher on digital transformation. Before COVID, we were talking about you have to transform digitally. This is what we are telling business leaders and country leaders. But they were just simply, they were taking it very casually. But once the COVID hit, it forced. Now today we are talking about digital acceleration. So either you make the change or the environment make a change on you, right? So you need to quickly adapt. So one of the ability of a good leader is how to adapt to change and how to set change. Great. So that change is a very, very key thing, and you are responsible as a leader. Very good. What are the other questions in your mind when you wake up in the morning as a leader? So what I'm trying to help you is, I'm trying to help you to think like a leader, right? So what are the questions? So once, because I always believe in thinking precedes action. That is true, right? Any doubts on that? We act first or we think first? Which comes first? Thinking precedes action or actions precedes thinking?
Think first.
Thinking precedes action, right? So first you need to have a thinking framework which guides your action. So therefore, to become a leader, you need to be a thinker, right? So what are the questions? So you need to understand what are the questions you grapple with, then how to think about those questions. So that will set you in motion. So this is my perspective on leadership. Of course, if you have any other thoughts, please let me know. So what are other questions? Okay, so without wasting much time, so let me go into, so we have conducted a survey by researchers across the world, and we found that these are the questions which are making the leaders sleepless nights. Like, how do I maintain in-depth understanding of my business? Because many leaders, whether you are, see here, for example, we are taking from business leadership, but this is true. For example, how do I understand my business, my institution, my organization, my country, right? Do I have? This is the first question. Second question is, how do I articulate the vision? Right? How I get people follow the leader? How do I influence people? That is why, just look at the theme of this today's, talk. This is all about influencing. How can I define success? How can I make strategic decisions? What do you mean by strategic? So what is the opposite of strategic? If I'm not strategic, what will happen? That's what I'm going to pose you this question. So when I say strategic leadership, what is the opposite of strategic leadership? If I'm not strategic, how will I be labeled as? Okay, what do I mean by strategic? How do I manage change, as you rightly mentioned? How do I build culture? How do I prepare my team for the future? How to create something exceptionally powerful? Like what I said, like how Steve Jobs, developed something, a product or a process which is exceptionally powerful to change the world in which we live, right? The way in which we work, the way in which we live. So these are some of the questions keep on coming to your, mind. So how to address these issues? What kind of thinking systems we need to have? So that is why I'm going to present a thinking system called strategic thinking system. Thinking, I always say, thinking is natural. Everyone thinks, right? Everyone in this platform thinks. It is by default we think, natural. So can we just try to understand what is thinking? When do we start thinking? So for example, at every moment we are thinking, or suddenly our mind opens up and starts thinking. Let's try to understand that process. Because I always say strategy is a science, right? So let's try to understand how thinking happens. Anyone would like to make a comment on that? Expert says thinking is a response to what? Do we always think, or our mind thinks and goes back, thinks and goes back? What is the phenomena? How it's happening?
Thinks and goes back, thinks and goes back.
Fantastic. Why it starts the thinking and then when it goes back? Great.
When we do some automatic decisions, like when I ride a bike,
Okay.
I got used to it so much that it is there in my subconscious mind, so I don't need to think.
Auto thinking. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Auto mode.
Okay.
Other areas, I think.
Yeah. So generally experts say thinking is a response to an issue or a problem. Whenever you face a problem or an issue, immediately your mind opens up and starts thinking. So thinking is a process of responding to an issue or a problem, right? So this is natural. Whenever there is a problem, our thinking opens up and then tries to solve that or tries to address that issue. But what is strategic thinking? So this is where there is a large difference between leadership and strategic leadership. Now, what is strategic thinking and how the strategic thinking makes the leader more strategic? So this is what we are trying to understand. So what is the opposite of strategic? We say operational thinking. When you look at business leadership literature, there are two types of leaders: operational leaders and strategic leaders, right? So is it enough to become? So first of all, we need to understand what is the difference. And second, we need to ask, is it enough to be an operational leader, or do we have to move to the thinking, move to the strategic level? So these are some of the questions. So let's look at, as you rightly mentioned in the introduction,
It is a kind of visionary kind of thing. So vision is the strategy thinking.
Fantastic.
The visionary is the execution for operation.
Excellent. So vision, when you talk about vision, as our friend rightly mentioned, strategy is all about long-term, strategic leadership is all about long-term, right? Operational thinking is all about short-term. So trying to solve today's problem, trying to solve whenever the problem arises. It's more reactive than the proactive. Strategic is more proactive, thinking about the future, thinking about the long-term. So as a leader, as a strategic leader, it is your responsibility to think into the future. Think about the future of your organization or your institution. And very interestingly, the second point is very, very important. Operational leaders do the same activities better and better. For example, Japan. What was Japan in 1990s? What is Japan today? In 1990s, Japan was in 1990s or 80s, in the last century, Japan was one of the leading economy because they were doing the same thing better and better in terms of quality and so on. Today, where they have lost the leadership. Today, of course, even though they are a big economy, but comparing to the rise of China, the rise of Korea, Japan is slowing down. Even their prime minister accepted this because they were focusing on doing the same thing better and better in terms of quality and so on and so forth, right? But when you look at the leaders like China or Korea or Americas or Europe or India for that matter, we started doing something unique. So the strategic leadership is all about how you are going to do something unique. As Dr. Ram mentioned during his introduction about Blue Ocean. Blue Ocean is all about how to do something unique, not doing the same thing as your competitors are doing, not doing the same thing. For example, Dr. Halima, she's leading an educational institution, right? So there are certain operational issues she has to grapple with, but always we need to think of where is the future of education, right? How I can be unique, how I can be different. For example, in Muscat, last week I visited a higher education institution. So they have set up a school. They call it as the digital school, right? So school is a phenomena for many, many years. But today, with the kind of changes across the world in terms of change in technology, so one important change you want to follow, please follow the change in the technology. Today, as we are in 2022, right? So just compare where we were in 2000. In 2000, one technology changed the world, which is the internet, commercialization of internet. Today, in 2022, there are 10 such technologies. So if you are a strategic leader, you will think about how I can deploy these technologies, right, into my institution, into my organization, into my business, right, and do something unique which creates value and I can take some value out of it. So this is what we mean by doing unique activities. So you have to, as a strategic leader, you need to think uniquely, for which you have to develop your capabilities in innovation. You need to be an innovative thinker if you want to be a strategic leader, right? If you want to be a strategic thinker, you need to be an innovative thinker. So doing unique activities is very much part of strategic. But whereas in operational leaders, they do the same thing better and better. Operational is focusing on very narrowly about your institution, about your function, about your organization, about your business. But strategic is having a helicopter view, looking at the world, making sense of the world. As a strategic leader, it is your responsibility to inform your team or organization about what is happening across the world. So you need to have a helicopter view, or I always say, Dr. Ram appreciates, we always say 5,000 feet view. You have to look at the world from 5,000 feet, right? Broad world, and then your market, then your industry, then your organization, then go back. So as a strategic leader, you need to train your mind in such a way that you move up and down so that you understand what is happening in other industries. Because I always say, as a researcher of innovation, innovation happens at the intersection of two different industries. It is not happening at the center of your industry. Because at the center of your industry, you have people who think alike. For example, when Halima goes to a conference of principals, Dr. Ram goes to a conference of CEOs of educational institutions, their thinking will be same because they follow the same media, they follow the same books, they follow the same literature. So if Dr. Ram wants to be an innovator, if Dr. Halima wants to be an innovator, they need to go and look at what's happening in the other industry. You know what? Google sends their team to Procter & Gamble. Do you believe that? Google, which is a technology company, was sending their team to Procter & Gamble, which is a consumer goods manufacturer. You know what? Because they are good in understanding consumers. So we need to learn from them, right? We need to adapt how they engage with consumers. At the same time, P&G sends their team to Google, why to understand how technology is being deployed. So I always say it is not the technology which creates value. For example, you talk about artificial intelligence, you talk about blockchain, you talk about Internet of Things, you talk about drones. It is alone, it cannot on its own create any value unless and until it is deployed creatively and innovatively. For which you need to understand what are the capabilities of these technologies, what AI can do. Today, if you want to follow one technology, as I told you, there are 10 technologies waiting in 2022, which is going to create enormous wealth in the next 20 years. Please remember, my dear friends, if you are a strategic leader, you need to understand what's happening in the technology space. That's what we are talking about long term. That's what we are talking about uniqueness. That's what we're talking about broad. So these technologies, believe me, it's going to create 10x growth. What the world has seen in the last 20 years, 10 times the growth we are going to see. Right? So you need to, as quick as possible, please let us look back and understand from the history. Those who understood the power of internet, the commercialization of internet, they are the leaders today. Be it Amazon, be it Google, be it whoever it is. Right? So those who are understanding the AIs and blockchains and IoTs and drones and computing, the edge computing, the quantum computing, they are going to be the next next 20 years, they are going to rule this world. So therefore, understanding this technology, using it creatively and innovatively, deploying it in your organizations, that is going to give you strategic advantage. So as strategic leader, you need to have this broad vision, right? So let me try to help you how to become a better strategic thinker, because as I said, leadership follows the thinking. Yeah, as I said, the action follows thinking, or thinking follows action. We decided that thinking precedes action, right? So therefore we need to be a good thinker. So let me give you some framework for you to be a better strategic thinker, so that you become a strategic leader, by action. So strategic thinkers ask 3 questions: where are we now, where do we want to be, and how do we get there? That's all. These are the 3 key questions. Because I listed a big number of questions right in the beginning. When you just look at them, you can put them into these 3 boxes very simply. So first, we need to understand, as a strategic leader, this is where the difference between operational leadership and strategic leadership. So operational leaders, they try to do the same thing which is already happening around them. They try to emulate. But strategic leaders always start with this question: where are we now? Right? And where do we want to go? Where do we want to reach? That's what Dr. Ram beautifully said: our vision, our purpose. What is the purpose of our existence? Because many of us, we don't understand this basic, question of what is the purpose of our organization. Every organization has a purpose, designed or delivered by the founder of that organization. So we need to understand that. What are our values? What we stand for? And where do we want to be? Right? So a strategic leader should be visionary leader, right? So you need to, have that kind of where do we want to be, for which starts with, where are we now? So you need to have the thinking capabilities, analyzing capabilities of where are we now and where do we want to reach. For example, as an education institution, where are we now? What is the future of higher education? What is the future of education, right? And then we are going to see where we want to place ourselves in the future. And see, Professor C.K. Prahalad beautifully always articulate, you see a future and roll it back. Again, I repeat, you see a future and roll it back, and try to decide what you are going to do today, so that every step takes you to where you want to be. So this is what we call it as, analysis. So what's happening around us? What is changing? Why we are talking about change? As we started discussing about change, what brings change? See, change can be brought by technology, change can be brought by social change, it can be from political front, it can be from economic front. For example, globally, for your information, what is the GDP of the global? What is the GDP of the all the countries put together? We know what is GDP, right? GDP is a measure of our growth, right? So what is the GDP of the world? Any guesses? Any numbers you want to throw?
GDP is a gross
200
domestic
trillion.
product. It is a total income of a economy.
Yeah, exactly. Putting all economies together, what is the size of economy?
Based on that only, they will come to know whether it is a developed or underdeveloped country.
Fantastic. Now you are very right. But my question is, what is the all GDPs together? For example, you have GDP of US, your GDP of Europe, GDP of India put together. What is the GDP of the world?
It is nearing towards with the $100 trillion, around the 95.
Fantastic. It's close to $100 trillion. Experts say in the next 25-30 years, it may double. Now, why I want to give that figure is the amount of growth the world is going to, see, right? So it's going to double, which means there is going to be a very exponential growth. The exponential change is going to happen. So where are we now, right? and what is our future. So you need to understand what is happening around us. That's what I said. It can be economic change, right? The economy is a great opportunity. Social changes are happening, right? Today, I always say, Dr. Ram knows, this century belongs to Asia. 19th century was an European century. The industry 1.0, industry 2.0, and industry 3.0 shifted to Americas. And industry 4.0, even though it started in Europe, now it is centered in Asia. Particularly, we need to appreciate China for making it happen, right? Of China, the rise of India, the rise of China, the rise of Indonesia, rise of Koreans, all these things put together, it is shifting, which means there's a great opportunity. I was told by Dr. Halima that there are students and parents, today's children, they are going to enjoy this, growth. When you are in Asia, this is going to be a place where once you see, always say, it is not the opportunity. Opportunity knocks every time, but whether we are prepared to grapple, to get hold of that opportunity. So this is what we are making a call. Be a strategic leader. Think like a strategic leader, right? So that you are ready for the future. Okay. So these are the three important questions which we are going to grapple. So let me throw some framework on thinking. As I said, thinking is a response to any issue. Thinking is natural, but strategic thinking is not, my dear friends. Strategic thinking, you have to train your mind, right? This is what I'm going to help you understand what do you mean by strategic thinking. So strategic thinking is at the intersection of three approaches to, three important phenomena. The one is the systems thinking, another one is the cognitive psychology, third one is the game theory. So these three collide, strategic thinking emerges. So let's try to understand each one simply. So cognitive psychology is all about how our mind works, about in terms of perception, in terms of creativity. That's why I said, if you want to be a strategic leader, you have to be creative. You have to be innovative. How to be innovative? There are a lot of, approaches. Let me share some thoughts on, how to be an innovator. If you want to be an innovator, you need to have 5 skills. Okay, note it down. The first skill is questioning. Don't accept anything. Ask questions. Don't take everything as don't assume things. Ask questions. Right? And second very important thing is you have to be an experimenter. You need to do experiments. Right? Ask questions about how the world is and why it is like this. What it can, what difference you can make to be asking questions. So do some experiments. Third very important thing is observe what is happening around you. As I told you, observe what is happening in other industries. More than you want to be a strategic leader, more than how you look into your industry, you need to look into other industries. What's happening? Because you can get a lot of insights from other industries. As I said, innovation happens at the cusp of 3 or 4 industries. So grapple that. So observe. And another very important thing is network. As a strategic leader, you need to be a great networking. Today, myself and Dr. Ramanathan, we are friends, and Dr. Halima, we are friends because of networking. We came together using a network, and today, for the last 1.5 to 2 years, we are traveling together. A lot of value is being created. So networking is very important, tool for a leader in general, particularly if you want to be an innovator, it's very, very important. And finally, associate. What do you mean by associating? 2 different things. If you're able to make connections between these 2, that can create value. I can give a number of examples. Want of time, I'll give you one example. How Henry Ford created mass production of car? He went into a meat factory. When he went into a meat factory, he saw something very interesting. What is that? A goat is brought, cut, parts were taken out, and finally it is packed and sent to the meat factory. He reversed the thinking. If a full goat is becoming parts and sent to the market, if different small parts, which are the spare parts of the automobile, can reverse the process. Different parts putting together, making it as a whole. That's it. That single thinking changed the not only the automobile industry, but all the industry, mass production, assembly line production system. So therefore, observe. Wherever you go, be a good observer. So if you want to be a good strategic, leader, you need to be a good, creative and innovative. That is about cognitive psychology. Second is about systems thinking. My dear friends, if you are leading an organization, let's say Dr. Ram leads an organization. Let's say, for example, he's running a consulting company, right? So he is operating he is a system. I call that company as a system. This system is part of a bigger system, which can be the consulting industry in Singapore. Then consulting industry is a part of Singapore as an economic system. Singapore as a part of Asian system, as a global system. So every system has subsystems and every system has supersystem. If you are able to understand this relationship, and very importantly, when you change one part of the system, it is going to influence and impact all. This is what strategic leadership is all about. If you are a very narrow thinker, you will go deep into one part, you will fix that, you feel that, oh, I have done it. Right? But if you are a strategic thinker, you will think the ramifications, you will think about what are the implications. Right? So when you change something in your industry, in your company, how it is going to change the industry. Something happening in the industry, how it is going to change your company. So this is what we call it as systems thinking. So it helps you to broaden the slate of factors you consider when evaluating options and prioritizing action. And finally, game theorists. You need to be a game theorist for a strategy. What do you mean by game theorist? You need to understand, when I do this, when I bring a change in my company, how my competitors will react. What kind of, not only competitors, you have to think, you have to have a thinking of stakeholders thinking. What do you mean by stakeholders thinking? Because see, as an organization, we are not alone. Please, my dear friends, try to understand this first. So whenever we make strategy for our company, it is not, you need to be very clear, cognizant. You are not doing it for only you. You are going to do it for your stakeholders. If you are going to design strategy for your company, you are going to fail. You know why? Because without the support of the stakeholders, you cannot move. So when you are making strategy, you have to think of your customers, you have to think of your employees, you have to think of your suppliers, you have to think of the government. I'll give you a simple example. When IBM wanted to sell its Lenovo division, they were looking for some strategic buyer. There were good buyers. They are ready to pay billions of dollars, but they did not. They sold it to a Chinese company. You know, which company is owning IBM's laptop division now? Any guesses? Lenovo, Chinese company. You know why? It's a strategic decision. You know why? Because they have understood, IBM understood that China is very important market for them, and Chinese government is a very important stakeholder. So they said, we are going to sell something, right? So they put the stakeholders thinking cap, which means how I'm going to create value for my stakeholder. Who is the Chinese government? Because Chinese government's aspirations are, they want to make global brands out of China. They said, we are going to sell it to you, so that overnight Lenovo became a global brand. Right? So helping your stakeholders grow, you also grow. You have that thinking. That is what we call it as collaborative thinking. So strategic leaders think collaboration, not only about competition, but also about collaboration. Right? So they think about, when I make a move, like it is like a chessboard, right? Whenever I make a move, right, what kind of counter moves my competitor will make, how I'm going to respond to it, right? So normally, as you all know, the grandmasters, they will think 10-15 moves ahead, right? So they will make one move, assuming that what our opponent will do this 10 to 15 moves ahead, they will start thinking. So same kind of thinking you need to have as a game theorist, which is very important for strategic thinking, which is very important for strategic leader. So you want to become a strategic leader, you need to be very innovative, creative, you need to be a systems thinker, you need to be you need to think like a game theorist, where you need to understand, when I make a move, what kind of responses I will get and how I will overcome that. Okay, so finally, let me just give you a simple framework for becoming a strategic leader. You need to do 4 things, as Dr. Ram already highlighted. 1, be a visionary, right? So that vision can come from your personal insight, like for example, how Elon Musk thought about the rise of electric cars, which is nothing but he was able to understand where the world is moving. World is moving towards renewable energy, right? And energies which are not harming the environment. So it fits in. So he was able to have a vision, personal insight, or it can come from one of your team members. So look at the last point, collaborate. So you can co-create value, driving strategy through co-creating value. Here I want to highlight one interesting case study from P&G, Procter & Gamble. There was a CEO called A.G. Lafley in Procter & Gamble. When he took over, Procter & Gamble was struggling, right? So what he did, he just looked at the company, how they were making, why they were struggling. They found their expenses are huge, right? Billions of dollars goes into R&D, research and development, because they need to develop continuously new products for the market. So they spend a lot of investment on scientists and research and development. The major expense goes as scientist salaries. So he said, how to reduce this? So he thought of one idea to change the world and which also changed Procter & Gamble. What is it? Can we make the whole world as our lab? That's all. What he did is he created a platform where he said, anyone, anywhere in the world, any corner of the world, if you have an idea, please come and share it with us. If we find that that idea is good to us, good to you, we will invest in your project and you convert that into a product, we will share the product. That's all. So without much investment, he was able to get thousands of ideas free, on a platform. So this is what we call it as, co-creating value with the world, co-creating value with the customer. Let's take the example of IKEA. So what is the power of IKEA? I hope all of you are, will appreciate the brand IKEA, right? So what is the power of IKEA? They co-create value with the customer. When others are selling at, let's say, $1,000, they sell it at $700. Why they are able to sell at $700? Because they are not going to give you the full furniture. They are going to give you the packed furniture, flat packed. So you go take it home on your own car and then you fix it. You are going to make the furniture. So for which they are giving you, $300 discount. So which means they are creating value through the customers. So it's a win-win for the customer as well as for the company. So be collaborative. Be incubative. What do you mean by incubative? Empower others. Very, very important today is understanding the power of your employees, right? So put it into the maximum use by collaborating with them, by empowering them. I can give you an example from 3M. There is an organization called 3M. I hope all of you, have heard about that company, 3M, Minnesota Mining Machines. It's an American company. They are world leaders in innovation. Every year they file thousands of patents, not one or two, thousands of patents. You know what? What is their strategy? Their strategy is empowering every employee to become an innovator. You know how to do that because every organization needs their employees to be innovative. But how they achieved it is very interesting. What they said is, in a week of 5 days, right? 4 days you work for the company. 1 day work for the company in the sense do something which is assigned to you. 1 day it is your day. Your mind is free. Make your mind free, right? Think about something. We will not ask any question. You can take 4 days in a month or 1 day in a week, whatever way you want. But at the end of the year, you have to show some idea. That's all. So that unlocks, because that empowerment of employees, that unlocks the potential of each employee. And believe me, every employee at least gives 1 or 2 ideas. Maybe out of 2,000, 3,000 ideas, they go for 1,000 patents. So this is the kind of empowerment is required. So as a strategic leader, you are going to empower your people. And finally, you can also drive strategy through structure and process. Let me close by saying one example, which is Dr. Ram already knows. We used to discuss a lot about this. It's about a philosophy of management, right? Employee first, customer second. So how changing the structure? Normally we say customer first, right? And the CEO sits on the top of the structure, right? So he changed. He said, for me, employee first. For me, as a CEO, I am helping employees to help customers. So he changed the structure of the organization, which created great value. So from this, we understand that being a strategic leader, you need to empower, you need to create the right structure, and you need to be more innovative in designing structure, designing process, empowering others, and come out with your own personal insights. All of them will make you as strategic leaders. Thank you very much for the wonderful opportunity. Dr. Halima, Dr. Ram, over to you.
Thank you very much. It was really a well-researched and well presented, and it was an eye-opener for at least for me. I can say there are many new things, new informations, and new understanding of strategic leadership. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas and thoughts in such a beautiful way and in a very simple way that each one of us, whoever is present here, is able to understand it thoroughly. Yes, Dr. Ram, you will agree with me.
Really wonderful to have you here. It's
Thank you.
very fortune for the students and participants as well as the other audience who have requested to join here. Because it is the vast thing to discuss in a long manner, a long time. But due to the time constraint, it is the special talk master class like that. So you have to make yourself to focus for the strategic planning, strategizing. All together, you have to equip yourself. It is the visionary, missionary kind of leadership. That is the goal set. As rightly pointed out, the global economic value is reaching towards with $100 trillion, but India's contribution is less than $5 trillion. We are second largest population and the biggest consumer in the world, but unfortunately, we are not contributing much a lot for this particular economic zone. And another one thing is the unicorn companies. Because the technology is going to support the formation of unicorn companies, we are now in the number 3 position. So ahead of us, US and China are there. But we have to focus because many youngsters, many brainy people are there. So we can, as he rightly pointed out, the collaborations, the associations, the capacity to handhold together. That will make the change in our economy in India, especially for the youths. They have to focus well because we are not having the technology in our study time. But you born with the gadgets and you are engaging all these things, explorations all over the world. It is a wonderful time you have to have.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Ram. I think now there are people who are waiting to ask the questions. Before that, let me just invite Dr. Zia, if you want to add on something or you want to ask something, then we will open the house for the question and answers. Dr. Zia Punekar. Now the house is open. Anyone who has any question or if you want to add on something, you are most welcome, or you want to ask anything about strategic leadership, the house is open for you now.
Sir, the question to Dr. Abali T. Subramaniam, sir, it was very nice explanation. Where we have been taken to different countries with vast examples. It was a wonderful section, sir. We really enjoyed your section. And this is Dhanlakshmi here. I would like to know about sustainability or sustainable leadership. What do you think about sustainable leadership, sir?
Fantastic.
Strategic and sustainable will come together.
Fantastic. Very interesting. Today, there are a lot of, as I said, across the world, a lot of research going on leadership. One is about sustainable. Now, sustainability can be understood in 2 different perspectives. Now, sustainability of yourself and your organization, sustainability of the world. When I say sustainability of your organization, as we know, every organization or an individual, it's also applicable. See, strategy not only applicable for organizations. I always say it's also applicable for individuals, for families, for organizations, for countries, and for the world. So when you talk about sustainable leadership, in the sense that bringing sustainability to your organization, which means how your organization can live. Let's look at, because most of us are Indians here, let's look at companies like Tata. Let's look at companies like, companies like hundreds of years, they are surviving. P&Gs, Procter and Gamble's of the world, right? So they are there for hundreds of years. Now, how they are able to sustain over a period of time, and they first they live and then they grow, right? So this is one aspect. But today, sustainability has to be understood in a more holistic way. So today we are talking about sustainability of the world. As we know, one of the major problems the whole world is facing, one of the major problem is the environment crisis, climate crisis. I hope all of you know, right? This 1.5 degrees is a magical number, right? Where we talk about COP26, where hundreds of business nations leaders converge and talk about what is the future of this world. Now we are talking about sustainability of individual, sustainability of companies. If the sustainability of the world itself is questioned, when they say if we are going to cross 1.5 degree temperature, average temperature, it is irrevocable, right? You cannot save the world, right? That is going to be the future. So in which case we need to worry about the sustainability of the world, because when the world sustains, you sustain, right? So therefore, now sustainable leadership is all about how as an individual, how as an organization, you contribute to the sustainability of the world. For example, they talk about zero, emission, right? Net zero. So all these kinds of how you are going to contribute. So here, the very interesting thing, you need to understand one thing. In the past, it was a luxury. If you are caring about your organization, okay. If you are caring about society and environment, you are great. But today it has become a basic. You will be asked to report not only the economic profit you make, right, but also you are going to you will be asked to report about social impact you are going to make and environmental impact. Very important. So sustainable leadership from this point of view is how we are going to drive this idea of sustainability of the world into your organization, right? So this is one way of looking at it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, because this is what is required for the at present right now for all the countries, and we have been talking about sustainability all the times. So everyone has to have a personal involvement, and we have to improve our own nation by having a sustainable leadership quality. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Here comes the innovation. Here comes the creativity. Here comes strategic leadership. Right?
Thank
Thinking
you, sir.
about,
Thank you very much.
as you rightly mentioned, thinking about the future, right, of the world, and then aligning you with the world. That's very important. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Lakshmi Dhanke. Thank you very much, Professor Kavali. Now we come to the end of today's session, and I request Dr. Zia to kindly propose vote of thanks. Dr. Zia, please go ahead. You can express your own views and thoughts about strategic leadership, and then you can propose vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Very good evening.
Yeah, it was really, it was a very great moment today because I thought I'm sitting in a, what do you say, a university hall, a professor is speaking so nicely, with all areas he was covering.
Yes.
Just a minute. Another thing, what, Miss Lakshmi has asked a beautiful question, and, Professor also has answered in a right way about sustainability. Sustainability is a very, very beautiful area, and it is a mandatory that every country, if they want to live, they have to adopt sustainability, strategies, or otherwise they will perish. Or as we know that, because of these global warming, these Antarctica mountains are, melting. Because of that, it is chances that there are few countries which are, half or part of the countries will be submerged in water in the days to come. So that's how, it was very nice, nice lecture from our guest lecturer, and Dr. Halima Sadia and Dr. Ram. I forgot the name of our Professor Subramaniam. He's working in Oman since I don't know, but it was very nice listening to him and of all the people here. So since I was driving, I did not pick the phone at that time. Pick this thing. So anyways, I thank every one of you, the participants particularly, who have patiently listened to the speaker. And I thank one and all the other participants and, other, the budding leaders who are already there with Dr. Halima Sadia. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Vijay has raised his hand. Vijay
Yes,
Paneerselvam.
yes. Vijay, please go ahead.
Okay. So can I speak in Tamil language? Is it okay?
Yes, go
I
ahead.
think here the audience. Yeah, no problem. Please go
Okay.
ahead.
So,
Can I respond in English so that you know this?
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. இப்போ நீங்க சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க வந்து இந்த பேசஸ் அண்ட் காம்பனன்ட்ஸ்ல பாத்தீங்கன்னா வந்து 3 ஏரியா சொல்லியிருந்தீங்க. ஓகேங்களா? ஆக்ஷன் பிளானிங், கீ கோல்ஸ், விஷன், அது மாதிரி சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தீங்க. பட் எனக்கு இப்போ விஷன் இருக்கு, ஓகேங்களா? ஆனா இந்த கம்பெனி ஒரு லெவல்ல இருக்கு, சம் ஆஃப் ஒரு லெவல்ல இருக்கு. அது நெக்ஸ்ட் லெவல் எடுத்துட்டு போறதுக்கு விஷன் இருக்கு, ஆனா எங்கேயோ ஒரு தடையா இருக்கு. என்னால அடுத்த கட்டத்துக்கு நகரவே முடியல வச்சுங்களா. பட் ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி இருக்கு, இங்க ஸ்பேஸ் இருக்கு, ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி இருக்கு, எல்லாமே இருக்கு. பட் எனக்கு அடுத்த கட்டத்துக்கு போறதுக்கான வழியோ இல்ல அது எப்படி அதை எடுத்துட்டு போகிறதுன்ற ஒரு ஐடியா புரிய மாறுது வச்சுக்கலாம்.
சரி, நீங்க சொன்னீங்கல்ல, just try to respond to your thing. He says that he has vision and he has opportunities in front of him, but he's not able to move his organization towards the next level of growth, right? So first you need to map. நீங்க என்ன பண்ணணும்னா உங்களுடைய ப்ராப்ளம்ஸை மேப் பண்ணிருக்கீங்களா? ஏன் நீங்க சொன்னீங்கல்ல என்னால கொண்டு போக முடியலன்னு சொல்லுவோம், ஏதோ ஒன்று தடையா இருக்கு இல்லையா?
ஆமா,
தடையா இருக்கு இல்லையா? அந்த தடைகள் என்னங்கிறத புரிஞ்சுக்கிட்டீங்களா?
நான் ஆபரேஷன்லயே இருக்கேன், என்னால வெளியே வர முடியல. எம்ப்ளாயிஸ் கூட
அழகா நீங்களே சொல்லிட்டீங்க, ரைட்? திஸ் இஸ் வாட் வி சே, business leaders need to be more strategic. ஆபரேஷன்ஸை வந்து நீங்க அதுக்கு ஆளுங்களை கொடுத்துட்டு ஈவன் நீங்க 2 பேர் கூட இருக்கலாம், ரைட்? அப்போ நீங்க என்ன பண்ணலாம், உங்க டைம் வந்து குறைஞ்ச டைம் வந்து ஒரு 50% ஆபரேஷன்ஸா இருக்கும் ஆரம்பத்துல, 50% ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜிக்கா இருக்கணும். ஸோ உங்க நிறுவனம் வளர 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 யூ ஹாவ் டு பி மோர் ஸ்ட்ராட்டஜிக். ஏன்னா உங்களுக்கு தான் அந்த ஃபுல் விஷன் இருக்கு இல்லையா? சிட்டிங் அட் த டாப் அண்ட் பீயிங் தி ஃபவுண்டர் ஆஃப் யுவர் கம்பெனி, யூ ஹாவ் த விஷன். ஸோ அந்த பொறுப்பு உங்களுக்கு தான் இருக்கு. ஸோ யூ ஹாவ் டு கேரி தட் விஷன் அண்ட் தென் யூ ஹாவ் டு இன்டராக்ட். நான் சொன்னேன் 5,000 feet you have to come back to your organization. Go to 5,000 feet, come back to your organization. இந்த டிராவல் வந்து நீங்க மென்டலா நீங்க எக்யூப் பண்ணிக்கணும். ஓகே, அப்படி வரும்போது தான் உங்களுக்கு எது தடையா இருக்குங்கிறது தெரியும். அதே மாதிரி அந்த தடைகளை எப்படி உடைக்கிறாங்க. உதாரணத்துக்கு அந்த காலத்துல ஒரு தடை என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா, எனக்கு ஐடியா சூப்பரா இருக்கு சார், பட் ஐ டோன்ட் ஹேவ் ரிசோர்சஸ் அப்படின்னு. பட் டுடே there are n number of innovative ways of raising investments or finance. That's what Dr. Ram was telling about startup. Wonderfully, he has reminded me, because he knows that I'm operating in startup ecosystem, because I purposefully avoided that, because that should not dilute our discussion on strategic leadership. Today globally, startups are going to redefine the world. Please understand, whatever industry you are in. For example, you run a school, or you lead a hotel industry, you lead a restaurant chain, whatever it is, right? Startups are going to redefine. So I always advise my entrepreneur friends, keep one foot on the startup space. At least observe what's happening in their startup space, right? So why there are a lot of startups? Because today there are enough resources but lack of ideas. நீங்க சொல்றீங்க எனக்கு ஐடியா இருக்கு, ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி இருக்குன்னு. நீங்க இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ்ட போய் கேட்டீங்கன்னா அவங்க நினைக்கிற மாதிரி ஐடியா இல்லைங்கிறாங்க. Okay, நல்ல ஐடியாக்கு they are ready to even invest millions of dollars, tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. They are ready to invest, provided you give them an insight that this is going to create more value in the future, right? So அதுதான். அப்ப நம்ம நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம் we are thinking strategically, நம்ம நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கோம் our thinking is very creative, innovative. But நீங்க அதுதான், நீங்க when you go to that investors, so if you want to test your idea, go and pitch it to an investor. அவர் உங்களை கேட்கிற கேள்விதான் உங்களுக்கு ஓபன் பண்ணி. Okay, because I am traveling with a lot of startups, right? The way in which the investors, they grill the startup founders, amazing, right? Then even the founders are getting good insights, because they believe that they know everything. But when they are meeting because the people who are investing money, they will ask hundreds of questions. So that can open up. So இப்ப நீங்க என்ன பண்ணலாம், உங்க கம்பெனியை ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட் அப் மாதிரி நீங்க உங்க கம்பெனி அப்படியே வச்சுக்கோங்க. நான் always say preserve your core, right? Don't risk it, preserve your core. இப்ப எந்த ஃபீல்ட்ல இருக்கீங்க விஜய்?
நாங்க கிளே பாட்டரி இ-காமர்ஸ் பண்றோம். கிளே பாட்டரிலாம்
வெரி குட். சோ இ-காமர்ஸ் ஸ்பேஸ்ல இருக்கீங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க. இப்போ நீங்க உங்க இதை அப்படியே ப்ரிசர்வ் பண்ணிட்டு இதுல என்ன புதுசா பண்ணலாம் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நீங்க ஒரு ஐடியா எடுத்து அதை போய் பிட்ச் பண்ணுங்க இன்வெஸ்டர்ஸ். அப்பதான் தெரியும் where you stand, and you may come out with wonderful insight which can change the world.
I request, sir, kindly share your email ID so that if they have some further questions,
Right.
they can contact you, they can send you their queries to them. And Dr. Ram,
Thank you,
please
Dr.
you also share your contact details, your email ID,
Yeah.
so that the participants can reach to you. Thank you very much. And the practical aspects
You-
that you have shown them, that is like more reliable and more like worthy of appreciation.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. All the best. See you. Good luck, friends.
Thank
All
you.
the very
Thank
best.
you, everyone. Please thank sir. If you really like this session, switch on your video and everybody say thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Kawali, for a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I can click the group photograph. So please switch on your video.
Yeah.
Yes, switch on your videos.
Vanakkam, vanakkam,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Vaanga. Welcome.
Yes.
Thank you,
Sandeep
sir.
Kumar, Vani, Major. Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, and see you, inshallah. Take
See you,
care.
inshallah.
Thank you.
Nice time.
Bye.
Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
It's a wonderful session.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.